Good morning. It's really good to see everybody again. This is the final part of our conference, and we are really excited the guests that we have today. I think we've kept the best for the very last of our conference. At this time, I'm going to ask Pulaski County Coroner Jerome Hobbs to do our invocation. Please stand.
Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you. We thank you for today, Master. We thank you for the AAC Conference all the way up until this present moment. We thank you for the AAC Director, Chris Bolanos. But not only him, Father, we thank you for his staff that done a marvelous job, dear Heavenly Father. Dear Master, I ask that you just touch our governor right now, Master, as prepare his mind and heart as he continue to do great things for the state of Arkansas. Dear Master, I ask that you please go with our law enforcement, armed forces, go with our entire board of directors for the AAC, and we want to say thank you for every senator, every representative that's under the sound of my weak voice. We just want to say thank you this morning, Master. Then, Lord, as we get ready to close this AAC conference, and we go out many different ways, Lord, we ask you for traveling grace. Protect us on our way home, Lord. And then, Master, I dare not to close out this prayer without thanking you for your Son, Jesus Christ, that hung on Calvary cross, rose that third day morning with all power in his hand. Lord, we just want to say thank you again. Thank you for the food that we received. Thank you for the hands that prepared it. And thank you for the service that served it. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Jerome. At this time, Polk County Judge Brandon Ellison will introduce our very special guest this morning.
Thank you, Debbie. It's quite an honor to introduce our next guest. Asa Hutchinson was sworn in the 26th governor of Arkansas in January 2015 and immediately set in motion his plan to bring more jobs and economic growth to his native state. Governor Hutchinson kept a major campaign promise by working to pass the biggest income tax rate cut in state history. His initiative to require computer coding classes in every public high school makes Arkansas a national leader and signals to businesses everywhere that our states will be prepared for the 21st century economy. In addition, the governor's emphasis on government efficiencies, including a hiring freeze instituted on the first day, have resulted in taxpayer savings and better focused state services. As part of this strategy to market Arkansas and attract more jobs and businesses to the state, Governor Hutchinson already has met with CEOs of major industries across the globe, from Silicon Valley to Germany to China to Cuba. On the national stage, Governor Hutchinson has been a key leader in energy, security, and education. The governor is chairman of the Interstate Oil and Gas Compact Commission, chairman of the Southern States Energy Board, and chairman of the National Governors Association's Homeland Security and Public Safety Committee. He is the former chairman of the Southern Regional Education Board. Before being elected governor, Asa Hutchinson served as the director of the Drug Enforcement Administration and the first undersecretary of the Department of Homeland Security. Voters in Arkansas' 3rd District also elected him to Congress 3 times. A graduate of the University of Arkansas Law School, Asa Hutchinson at age 31 was appointed by President Reagan as the nation's youngest U.S. attorney. He and his wife Susan have been married 43 years and they have 4 children and 6 grandchildren. Most all, Governor Hutchinson is a friend of counties. He knows that his policies will stimulate the state economy, resulting in increased revenue for each county. On numerous occasions, the governor has made himself available to meet with county officials to hear our concerns about various issues. So please join me and give a warm county welcome to our friend and governor of our great state of Arkansas, Asa Hutchinson.
Judge Ellison. Thank you for the warm welcome today. It's exciting to walk in this room and see those that are engaged in a level of government that makes such an incredible difference to the citizens of our community. Whether you're on the quorum court, whether you're a county official, you hear the concerns, you have to address the problems all through the day and night, and I'm grateful for your service. I'm also grateful for your partnership. As Judge Ellison mentioned, I try to be responsive. We've just come through a legislative session. It seems just like yesterday, even though it was a couple months ago now. But it was very successful. I think we did some good things that support the counties, and we're grateful for your partnership. I just completed a turn road tour, which I went to 7 counties talking to farmers in eastern Arkansas, north and eastern Arkansas. I had a great time. I got out of my suit and put on my blue jeans and went and listened to farmers. And whenever you get out of Little Rock, you learn a lot of things. And so it was really good to go to Pocahontas and really follow up on the flooding concerns. And the flooding that we've had this last year that had multiple counties declared federal disaster areas. We've worked hard to work with FEMA to make sure they're responsive. We actually have state dollars that go toward individual assistance matching funds with the federal government as well as the public assistance, and that's what you all are working on in terms of your own county projects that were hampered because of the floods and getting coverage for that. So that's an important part of it. We had that discussion in Pocahontas, but there's the follow-up work. We have got to look at it from a large perspective as to how we're going to address flooding challenges in the future. And whether it's dredging that needs to be done, that used to be done by the Corps of Engineers on navigable and non-navigable waters, and now they're more that is shifted from the Corps, and it's either not being done or the shift has not occurred and the proper responsibility has not been assigned. That has to be examined. The coordination between levee districts, irrigation districts, and the Corps of Engineers to make sure that the water is controlled, that the decisions are made in coordination. These are big picture items that are very complicated, but that's one of the reasons I went back to Pocahontas and talked to the local officials, and delighted with some of the progress that's being made, but much more needs to be done in terms of planning for what will surely come in. I go on over to Success, Arkansas, up in Clay County, and there we talked about dicamba, a hot topic, as well as in Leachville, and nothing like going into Leachville in Mississippi County, talking to a bunch of farmers and finding the Washington Post there. And so, yes, they were there to cover this topic as well as the local media as well. That in reference to dicamba, which is a very challenging topic for our farmers, we have set up a task force to examine that issue for the future and make recommendations to the plant board. The excitement is about the expansion of marketing opportunities to China in terms of our rice production, a great opportunity for our farmers. And then there's excitement about some of the industrial opportunities and prospects that we have brought into this state. And I just want to mention too, because as was mentioned, you're dependent upon the growth in your county. You're dependent upon economic prosperity in your area. And if we're not creating jobs, if we're not bringing businesses and impacting that across the state, then your job is much tougher, right? And so that is a focus that I have, and I'm going to talk about some other things, but I wanted to mention this, and I want to turn it open for questions that you might have. So gear up, because I'm sure there's things that I won't be covering today. And so when you look at some of the things that we're doing, one of them we brought to the heart of the Delta, Rui Garment Company out of Shandong Province. Rui Garment Company is going to be investing $410 million in the old Samuel facility in Forest City. They're going to employ up to 800 people. And they're going to buy, when they're in full production, up to 800,000 bales of Arkansas cotton every year. Now, to put that in perspective, you know how many bales of cotton we produced last year? 820,000 bales. And so their purchasing will cover a full year's crop. And so that is an incredible opportunity for our farmers, for those that want to work in the Delta, and it's a regional opportunity. You go on up to Jacksonville, and we recruited Sig Sauer, a firearms premium ammunition plant that will go in there. And I go up to northern Arkansas, and in Melbourne, someone came up to me and said, "Thank you for bringing Sig Sauer in, because we got a contract to be a supplier with Sig Sauer," and that's a company in Melbourne. Now, I tell you that story because you might say, "Well, you brought in Rui to Forest City, that didn't help us," or Sig Sauer in Jacksonville, that didn't help us. But when you bring in supply chain drivers, the larger companies that come in, they look at their supply chain, and you can take advantage of that anywhere in the state of Arkansas. And so those are the opportunities. That's what we're looking at. We have created 70,000 jobs since I've been governor. We have a 3.4% unemployment rate, which is the lowest unemployment rate in the recorded history of Arkansas. That's also a very humbling experience sometimes when you get out of Little Rock. And so after the session was over with, I wanted to get out, and the first invite I had was to go down to Hampton for the Hogskin Parade. And it was a great event, great local community. And I go there, I'm shaking hands with everybody, and this lady comes up to me and says, "Can I give you a hug?" And I said, "Man, she wants to thank me for all the great work I've done." And she gives me a hug, and she steps away, and she says, "Now, just who are you?" It was just a reminder that not everything happens in Little Rock. Not everything revolves around who I am and what I'm doing. It's about family, it's about community, and a lot of things going on in life, and it's a good reminder of that from time to time. There's some challenges that we face in Arkansas. And one of those challenges that we face is the issue of crime. And I know there's been a lot of attention addressed to crime in Little Rock, and it is a great concern. And that's the reason that I set up and asked the federal agencies to participate in an investigative working group that would have ATF, FBI, state police, all of the local agencies, and the sheriff and Little Rock PD participating in it to share intelligence, target gang activity, and those responsible for violence. So we're doing that here, but it is something that impacts us all. And no matter where I go in the state, it is the petty theft. It is the farmer that worries about their machinery being stolen in the dark of night, or it's their metal that is being hawked down at a pawn shop as it was stolen. This impacts us all. And it's the, someone was talking to who's going to take their daughter shopping for getting ready for school. And of course, I'm assuming they're just going to go down to the mall and do the shopping for getting back to school. But then I find out they're actually just going to be doing it on the internet. And one of the reasons they were doing it on the internet was because they were concerned about crime. And it's just safer. And this is not good. And so we have got to work as a state to address the crime problem in a comprehensive way. And we've started to do that. We've done a lot. We've got a lot more to do. And if you just look at some of the ingredients of it, much of it revolves around the challenge that we have in illegal drugs. And whether it's an employment opportunity that someone goes in and can't pass a drug test, or whether it's the petty theft that they engage in to support their drug habit. And that's the reason we've invested in drug treatment courts, that we have 79 across Arkansas, which is a good start. And you don't want to have too many, just in the sense that you want to make sure you have your personnel that are committed to a drug court that gives an alternative sentencing with a focus on treatment and getting someone over their addiction problem. Those are very successful. We want to continue to invest in the drug treatment boards. The last session, we just enacted a mandatory prescription drug monitoring program. And that was not easy to get passed because you had some in the physician community that said that's a real burden on us. And we tried to make some accommodations, but we made it mandatory. One of the physicians that was objecting to it the loudest came up to one of my staff and said, we're glad we put that into place. The first time I had to check on a mandatory check, both of the individuals had addiction problems, and we were able to detect that because of checking out on the database on other prescriptions that they had attained. And so that's an important part of the ingredient to help tackle the opioid abuse, the prescription drug abuse that we see, and we have to continue to work on that together across this state. But another issue that we have that I know that you've been very vocal about, and that is those that are suffering from mental health issues that are arrested, and our county jails are being backed up with those with mental health problems. And so, working together, we came up with this idea of a pilot program for crisis stabilization units across the state. And we can't afford them all, and so we invested $5 million that will allow a law enforcement officer, first of all, to be trained to know and to identify a mental health issue. And then secondly, if they've got a crime problem, they can divert them instead of putting them in the county jail. If they're off their medication, if they've got some other mental health issue, divert them to a crisis stabilization center where their mental health issue can be dealt with. And so we put in $5 million that would really fund 3 crisis stabilization pilot programs across the state. Well, guess what? We had 4 very strong applications for those crisis stabilization units. And I looked at those and I said, the communities are devoted. They put together a good plan. They're putting together their resources and capital improvements to make this happen. We don't want to tell one of them no. And so I made the decision yesterday to come up with another $1.6 million that I'll ask the legislature to approve spending some of our rainy day funds so that we could fund all 4 crisis stabilization units. And so thank you for your voice. Thank you for your leadership on that, helping us get that through the legislature, and then such incredible applications. We've got to make sure that these work. We're going to be measuring them very carefully, and if they work and they make a difference in recidivism, if they make a difference in mental health treatment, if they make a difference in the county jail backup, then we can look at what more we can do across the state. But even though there's 4 central locations, this will benefit really everybody in the state will have access to those if they're close enough to you. And so those are the 4 applications we had. There's much more to do there, but I think that's an important part of what we do as well. Another aspect of the crime problem is really an effective parole system in the state of Arkansas. And Sheila Sharp is working very, very hard with her team. And we've given additional parole officer resources to give more accountability, those that are coming out of prison that are on parole. And we want to be able to continue to invest in there. And it's a challenge because there's 2 things they have a responsibility for. One, holding that parolee accountable to make sure they don't go back to crime. And also helping them down the path of employment, reentry, what is the challenges that they face, and put them back into productivity. We want people to have a second chance in life. We want people to go back and be productive. And I tell you, when you have a 3.4% unemployment rate and you're still trying to recruit industry to this stage, you want everybody working. And that is true whether they're getting public benefits, we want to pull them into working, or whether they are coming out of prison. We want them to work and we want them to have those opportunities. So we're going to continue to invest in effective probation and parole system in this state to hold people accountable, to help them get back to productivity. And so those are just a couple of things that are important. We are going to continue to focus on some criminal justice issues to reform, to achieve the right balance between incarceration and the parole system that we have, but we've got to be able to identify those that are in danger and simply lock them up, because we want our communities to be safe. And I know that's a challenge for you and your counties. We want to partner with you. Whenever you have a problem, we expect you to call Doug Smith. And Doug, where are you back there? Doug does a great job for me as a liaison, and I just wanted to point him out to you. I hope, though, that you can see from my voice, from my tone, that I've never been more optimistic about the future of Arkansas. I'm an admirer of former President Ronald Reagan. I served in his administration, and I looked at him as a mentor, and there's two things that I always grabbed from him. One, he was a consistent conservative, win or lose. You know, he lost as a conservative, and then he won as a conservative. And then he led as a conservative. Like it or leave it, that's who he was. The second thing about Ronald Reagan was he was an optimist. He looked at America with a smile on his face and said, our best days are ahead. Let me tell you, I am optimistic about Arkansas and the incredible partnerships that we have, the people who are willing to devote themselves to public service that are in this room, and the growth that we have and the opportunities for young people. So thank you for what you do. I'm delighted to partner with you. So I talked fast, didn't cover everything, but I just thought I'd turn it over for questions. And so the mics are available there. And it doesn't have to be, it can be a question or it can just be a comment if you'll make them to benefit us all.
We are not this shy.
The farmers are not shy. Got a question here.
Governor, it's more of a comment than a question. I know a lot of people know this, but I just want to make sure that working so hard on the CSU, bring that to Arkansas, that without your leadership and your partnership on this, it wouldn't happen. I just want to make sure that I compliment on you how much you worked on it and how you saw the need, you saw the problem, you acted upon it. I thank you.
Very good, Ken.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's one of those. And I want you to know, I read your entire application. I just want to see the plan, how it was done, and the support of the community and the facility side, the renovation. What is it, the Mid-South Health?
Mid-South Health.
That's incredible. So, and it's planned. You know, as we pointed out, there's no guarantee about funding down the road. And so you've got a plan to hopefully sustain it. So, you know, that's just an example of one of the great communities that put this together.
Governor, I want to say that I have a lot of respect for the good things you've done for our state, but I'm curious to know where you stand with Kerry's Law, the legislation that's going on.
All right. Oh, I see you back there. So the question is how I stand on what?
Kerry's Law.
That's not you're not talking about constitutional carry. Can you explain the law that you're speaking of?
There's legislation right now about Kerry's Law. It's a law that will allow hotels and different types of buildings to override the part where you have to dial a 1 or a 9 to get out. Where if you have an emergency, you can dial 911 direct without dialing that prefix.
It looks like it's something that Doug needs to look into a little bit. No, thank you for raising that. What do you think about it?
We need it, Terry. Awesome. It would be awesome.
And so it would
It would
override,
save so many lives.
yeah, it would just override anything else that if you punch 911, then it goes straight to the
Yes.
emergency
If
communication.
you had an emergency, when you pick up the phone, you could dial 911 direct and not have to dial the 1 and then 911.
Yeah.
It would save lots of lives.
Well, yeah, because I sure couldn't figure that out. So, good point, and I was unaware of it, so thank you for educating us, and I look forward to having the counties work on that some more. Thank you. Yes.
I want to thank you for your work on the mental health issue with those who are involved in jails and drugs. And ask you what your time frame is for getting this implemented.
Well, in the applications and the RFP that was put out, we said, can you put this together by the fall of 2017? And that's a very, very quick early timeline that might not be achievable, but I know, again, looking at Craighead County, I think they said they could get their facility ready by then. And so the money's there. The money is ready to go. And of course, we're not going to give $1.6 million in one chunk, but it'll be reimbursable as the expenses are incurred. So, you know, if the counties can pull it together, they could be operational by this fall.
That's very encouraging. Thank you.
Thank you. It's Carroll County, is that right? Good. Well, you'll should be close enough to be served by this as well. And I'm anxious to see the results. In the very back.
Governor, I'm Mike Patterson, Clay County Judge, and I missed you the other day when you came up to Success, but I want to thank you for coming up there to talk to the farmers, because you was in the middle of the area we had thousands of acres of water on top of those crops out there. And I want to thank you for coming out there and seeing all that. And I'm talking for Clay County, Lawrence County, and Randolph County, because we all had lots of houses and we had a lot of farms that was covered up with water. And I want to thank you for different agencies that came up there to help us out, because just as soon as it happened, your group of people was up there helping us. And I want to thank you for the different people that you have on your staff for doing that.
Thank you. Well, thank you. I was really encouraged that when we were in Pocahontas, there is a Corps of Engineer study that's going to be done that's going to make recommendations on controlling those rivers and the levees and hopefully controlling the flooding. There's going to be a price tag to those recommendations, and so we've got to stay tuned on this, and we've got to look at the next legislative session coming up and to see how we can address it. We've got to get in a preventive mode. Now, you can't prevent flooding because it's nature. You can't prevent it, but the extent some of these things are man-made controls. We've got dams up, we've got releases, we've got levees that have been built and reconstructed, and then some are breached, and so there's a lot of decisions in the process that impacts the extent of the flooding and where the flooding goes. And so thank you for raising that, but we've got a lot of work to do. We need your help on it.
But it's just an important issue. So anyway, thank you. It does need to be looked into at the next session.
So you're right, 11. I'll just point out, because we've got a lot of county officials here, but we need your continued help in identifying the levee system and how they're organized and the information, and transmitting that from the county clerks to our Arkansas Natural Resources Commission, that under the new law that was passed can take an inventory of those levees, and it gives us a database to know the strength of our levee system, where the organization is weak, where the repairs are not being made. And so that transfer of information to get a handle on that's very important. Who's next?
Governor, I'm John Thomas, and I'm the Lawrence County Judge, and I'd just like for all of our counties to know, and I want to thank you for the response and the quick response, dealing with FEMA, dealing with the disasters. That's gone extremely smooth, and I'd like to thank Doug and your staff during the event because they were there. And so for all of us here, when you get in a tight, this administration will help you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, for taking these questions from us today. I work with the county clerks, and it's no secret that we have a statewide crisis with our voting equipment being outdated, and I was just wondering if you would like to address that while we're
I'm really glad you asked that question. First of all, I understand the need that's out there. And we've got some counties, like White County, I understand, went on their own and they paid 100% of the new voting equipment. That was before the Secretary of State, I think, released some money that partnered with some counties to split it. And so you've got all kinds of variations in the counties, and so there's not a uniformity of opinion across the state as to exactly how that should be handled and how much is the county's responsibility, how much is the state's responsibility. I had a conversation with Senator Hester, who's been a strong advocate for support for the counties, and other legislators about the funding for the machines. And of course, there's nothing in the budget for that. And so anything that we are able to give just comes out of the rainy day funds, which are not as plentiful as they've been in years past. And so I've got actually $20 million in rainy day funds that's got to meet every emergency in our state over 2 years. And so I've just got to be careful to marshal those funds in the right way. Now, so this is on the priority list, and the debate is up to $5 million, that will be used for some of the high priority counties that have been there and are prepared to make the match. Now, I'm waiting for the right time to do that, and part of it is measuring all the needs of our state. This is the same pool of money that we're funding the 4th crisis stabilization units. So we'll get there, but I know they're going to have a hearing next week where, there's some questions they want to ask as to how long is this new equipment and the new software, how long is it going to last? How are we going to, if we put $5 million toward these voting machines, how about all the other counties? And I don't want to have a long-term commitment where, because I can't afford it until we either get it in the budget or we divide it up. So I just want more clarity on the responsibility. So that was a long answer to a great question, but the Secretary of State wants it so bad for you. Every time somebody breathes, he sends a letter to you and tells you it's coming. Well, it's a little bit ahead of it. So if you will, work directly with our office. We'll give you a straight answer on it, and we're going to do the best we can. I know how important it is to you. Thanks for raising the question. Thank you all very much.